You know, where's the bouncer at in this facility? Matt, take him out, please. Griffith needs to go. Auto Club Famoso Raceway, a lot going on here. We're about 2.5 weeks out from the California Hot Rod Reunion.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've told me before it's not about the racing, but I'm thinking that this is going to be a huge those funny car guys are going to show up in force, as you've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. This could be a hell of a show.
Oh, it's our biggest funny car show of the year. It's bigger than the March meet.
Yeah.
We get a lot. What's cool with the March meet is we get a lot. It's like the new cars are debuting, but the reunion, there's a lot of guys that just they wait around all year long to tow out. Paul Romine's coming out from the East Coast, and Mike Lewis, who is director of racing for Don Schumacher Racing.
Really? Wow.
He jumps in the brand X car out of Texas, so they come out, and it just
he won that race a couple years ago.
He won it a couple years ago, yeah.
And then
yeah,
the usual suspects, the Dan Horans of the world. We'll see those guys.
Yeah, Dan was in town this past weekend testing on Saturday. Ran a 570 and a 74, and they buttoned it up and they're ready.
Will we see any big show drivers sneak in this year? Or?
Ron Capps has got a trip to Hawaii planned right around that time. He's not sure. He won't be competing, no.
Okay.
I don't know, actually. I know Dale. I mean, Dale's got his own car, so he
Right.
could bring it out. And last year, Cruiser came by, and he showed up and raced. So it just, if they decide to show up.
How does that work for you? I mean, these guys just do they call you on the phone personally and say, "I'm coming"?
Yeah, they're actually there's a entry form you're supposed to go online through the museum and sign up. But these guys usually just call, and we usually find a way to get them in.
Right? Nice. All right.
I mean, they're still paying to get in, and they go through the proper paperwork eventually. It's just usually it's a phone call comes our way, and we go from there.
Now, NHR likes to emphasize the reunion part of this too. So it's a car show. It's I took my son a couple years ago, and we saw some amazing cars. And
car show, Cackle Fest.
Yeah, Cackle Fest. And what does NHRA do as far as outreach goes? I mean, they talk about the history of the sport. I mean, what do they do? What is their presence there at this event?
Well, you mean as far as
NHRA? Do they do anything special for this? I was trying to remember. I haven't been for a year since last.
They
year.
have 2 years. They come in and their Cackle Fest is their deal.
That's their big
deal, which is Saturday evening after the first round of eliminations. All the restored and recreated dragsters.
Right.
They're pretty much period correct dragsters.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
They all go down to the end of the drag strip and they get push started. And what they've done is now, back in the day, the push start vehicles like James Warren and Roger Corbin, they had an old station wagon.
Yeah.
But now they're all cherried out push cars, period, correct push cars. So actually it's kind of a car show also, push starting the dragsters, and they come to life and they cackle is what they do. The nitromethane, they make the turn on the drag strip and pull out there and keep idling, so you end up with 1, then 10, then 20, then 30, and they're all idling at the same time. Plus, they have a reunion on Friday night at the DoubleTree.
At the DoubleTree, yeah. That's where they honor all their honorees and give them their awards and tell stories. And they really stress the social atmosphere, both at the DoubleTree you mentioned, Mike, and then at the event. There's some downtime in between racing. There's only 200 cars competing in the event. With March meet, we have 500 cars. We can't stop. I mean, the only time we stop is if there's oil on the racetrack or a car part or something like that. So we don't stop racing. So they really stress the social side. That's where you get a chance to catch up with all the drivers and the legends that are there just hanging out and wanting the same thing, just wanting to swap stories and.
What is it? What do you enjoy that part of that too? Meeting these guys.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's guys walking around.
Is there anybody you haven't met in drag racing yet?
That I have not met. Yeah. Oh wow.
You met Garlitz, obviously.
Yeah, Perdome and McEwen. Those were the guys that I want to meet. I'm sure there's some that I haven't. Obviously, but. Those were the cool cats, when I was growing up. That's the ones that
McEwen's always there anymore.
Yeah, so. Mongoose is great, and Snake comes in and hangs out, and it's just they're just walking around wearing a t-shirt and blue jeans, just taking it in.
Speaking of that, that's when March meet. That's when a lot of these guys show up, and we're believe it or not, it's March. It's March 5th through the 8th, and it's already like I was writing a thing planning out for 2015, and I'm already thinking about it already. It's like. Thinking about that week and everything we're going to try to do for that week it's going to be here before you know it.
At midnight tonight, our entry start.
That's right.
It starts
October
at midnight.
1st.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
So we're all ramped up, ready to go.
Look at that! I have that ready to go
tonight. This will start at midnight. So
So tomorrow, do you take a peek and see who's registered?
Sure, it's fun to see who made it at 12:01 or 12:02 or.
Does anybody actually do that?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we'll get several within the first half hour. I'll have probably 10, 15 cars signed up.
I expect Griffith over there with his javelin to come through at some point.
I wish I still had that javelin. I think I'm taking vacation that week though.
Stop it. Keep threatening that. I'll put you on vacation here. Okay, so the testing is coming up. Was just last weekend, testing tune last weekend.
We had a Saturday only, and then of course the import race on Sunday that we've been talking about off the air, and then this weekend another 2 days of testing, and this is going to be big. We're going to have a lot of fuel cars on the property, a lot of gassers and nostalgic, 1, 2, 3 cars. This is their big chance to test, not only for the reunion, but also for the next weekend after this is ANRA, the finals.
How many top fuel? Well, we'll get to that in a second. How many top fuel cars will you think you're going to have?
Nitro cars total, funny car and top fuel. There'll probably be maybe 16 on the property testing this weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Speaking of ANRA, there it is. They're coming up. That's their championship weekend is October 10th through the 12th. So we expect to see Butch in here October 7th. I'm hoping, right?
Which is next week,
next
right?
week,
Yeah,
right.
He'll be on. He'll come in.
All right. Bring him in with
and
my
he'll have his 2015 schedule to talk about as well.
Good.
So we've already got that
Very
set.
exciting.
Some dates are all figured out there, so we'll let Butch release those dates.
Okay. And then here it is, Hot Rod Reunion, October 17th through the 19th, and that's going to be a big time. It's a big weekend of events that weekend. So
and you asked me like what NHRA, what they do, what's their this is really like going to a living museum, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to museums down south or wherever and look at cars sitting there, but this is your chance to come see these cars live.
Yeah,
they fire up, and not only do they do the Cackle Fest Saturday night, they're doing random fire-offs in the pits as well. All these cars are parked out there, and they'll run them throughout the weekend, just idling out there. But
Plus
it's really
the
cool.
Museum will bring up museum pieces too, and not always drag racing related. You'll see some. I've seen early era sprint cars out there,
boats,
land speed cars. The salt cars. So you'll see a variety of stuff.
And there's a huge. There's a huge. A silent auction out there that weekend as well, and there's old programs, magazines, fire suits, helmets, gloves, just everything you can imagine car related.
And then there's just the swap meet, which is just cool to see in the first
place. The vendor row and the swap meet.
The vendors and the swap meet. Is just
I think
amazing.
Don Garlett's called it one of the best swap meets in the world for used car parts, but you have to know what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to know what you're looking for.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we had a good time. We had a good time at the March meet with Griffith, just going around looking at. I was gonna get him a velour, Confederate battle flag for his garage, but he didn't want it for whatever reason. I want to go. I keep telling my wife I'm gonna drag her out there because I want to take that trophy that we have. We have those 3 trophies, that were her father's, and I'd love to have the museum because they're all from the 50s. So I'd love to have them kind of give her some context for
your best. He's kind of like the Antique Roadshow coming to town. You want to find out what it is. Greg Sharp, he's the curator of the museum, and that guy can tell you where those are from, who gave them out, what race. That's your guy there. So
I think she'd get a kick out of that. So the import show, and you talked about here it is. They were lined up. Tom Mock got that out there early.
Yeah, and so did they.
Yeah.
They were there at 3 a.m, and just on the other side of the Oleanders, we have some employees that stay in trailers. My dad was out there that night before, and 3 a.m. they started lining up.
That would have been such a delight to hear the ring.
Griffith's trailers over there somewhere.
The 4 cylinders winding it up at 3 a.m.
About 3 a.m. they were lining up. About 5 a.m. they were starting to play their music. They were awake, getting ready to come in, and the gates opened about 7:30. So, and that's a pretty good shot of the car show headed down our pit area. And
we won't mention some of the verbiage on the trophies there, but you can read them. It's saucy. There it is, and we have no FCC issues here, but just some great photos from the this may raise the ire of the CHP, but there you go. Grey Goose in a bottle. There you go.
A cigar and
some of the food offerings. This guy's always popular at the March meet.
Yes. Yeah. That's our guy that sells. We call it Chinese. Oh, I can see the tower in the background there.
Yeah, look at that. It's making progress.
Yeah. No, we had some. That guy's driving on the wrong side of the car there. That's weird. No,
that's weird.
No, we
get him out of there.
Again, perfect weather for racing. And
really
we always give these guys a good racetrack, and they come here and run. You can
see how close. Weird.
You can see how close the crowd wants to get to the races. That's our biggest challenge in this race is they want to get closer and closer. And so we let them go out and watch a few cars, then take off. You know, as long as they aren't you know, hanging out too long and hanging over the guardrail, we let them go.
I just don't. I guess I mean, you know, cool. You're racing a CRX and a
well, what you gotta love is the front wheel drive burnouts.
Yeah,
yeah, big tires on the front.
Yeah, that's something that I took the hardest time for me to get used to. Is I'm bringing cars in the water box and they keep going through it. I'm like, you're missing. No, it's front wheel drive.
Front wheel drive.
I want them to keep coming through, and they stop on me.
Yeah,
you know? I'm like, no, you're not going to do a burnout. Yeah, it's front wheel drive. They got to stop early.
But I mean, this has turned out to be one of the bigger things you guys do out there.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I mean,
this race
wasn't a big race, but a big car show.
Big car show, almost 300 cars in the car show, and that's I think in the fall the same promoter, or in the winter, I'm sorry, gets about 400 cars for the car show, right? And a little more racers and a lot more spectators, but it was still a good weekend, a good race for him, and he's happy to come back next year.
Very good, and we'll see them again in February. February.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, look for IFO Import Face-Off.
Okay.
And there's a chance, real quick. There's a chance for any race fans out there who want to make some money off that race. You can become a promoter of his event.
Oh, really?
He has special coupons that you can pass out, and they're good for $3 off. But all those coupons are coded, and if they get turned into the track, you get credit for those.
Oh,
you
really?
get money sent your way. So go look up IFO Import Face-Off. If you want to help promote February's race, you can do that.
All right, good deal. Well, we'll keep that in mind for sure. And we'll talk to Blake next week. He'll be joined by none other than Butch Hedrick, who has the coolest trophy in all motorsports, the Butchie. Right back after this, we got Bakersfield Speedway coming up. They crowned a few champions over the weekend. So we'll talk to them, talk to Scott Schweitzer about that. And we'll have more right after these messages.